Joining us now from Washington, D.C., commentary writer for the Washington Examiner, Kaylee McGhee. So, Kaylee, a long night last night. I mean, what was it, 12 hours to go through at this point, but it was kind of got a little cyclical at some point. We kept hearing 53, 47. Those amendments kept getting shut down or tabled, as it's called. What were some of the big takeaways that we should take away from yesterday?
One of the biggest takeaways was when Adam Schiff basically dismissed all criticism as nothing more than a GOP distraction. And obviously this is not true. There is a lot to criticize Schiff for his handling in the House's impeachment inquiry. And even now, the defenses that he's making of the Democrats' allegations against the president are worth criticism. Other than that, nothing super eventful. Probably the other noteworthy event that you already mentioned was Susan Collins breaking from the GOP, which is quite predictable given her circumstance. She's up for a tough re-election in Maine this year, and Senate Democrats have been doing their best to really put pressure on her and some of the other vulnerable Republicans who they need to switch over to the Democratic side when it comes to the impeachment trial witness vote.
And when it comes to Susan Collins, actually, I think it was a little weird that she did that, because if you're going to stay 53-47 on every single one of those amendments, and then on one of them you're going to break away and be the only affection really from that process, I don't think anyone in her next election is going to be, well, Susan Collins, she actually did vote in favor of extended period of long response times for written questions. It was just kind of a weird, random one for me to really see her do that. So I guess maybe that may foreshadow something to come, but I think acknowledging that too is what is planning to come. What should we be predicting as far as what comes next in this process?
Well, the next few days obviously will be spent with the Democrats establishing their opening arguments, not just about their case against the president, which has really already been laid out in the articles of impeachment, but specifically focusing on the debate over whether to include additional impeachment trial witnesses. Yesterday, we saw a lot of Schiff's time spent talking about whether to allow John Bolton to testify. Obviously, the Democrats would like to see him testify. There are a few Republicans who would as well, but much of their time has been spent on this topic, not necessarily on Trump. And you can expect to see more of this over the next couple of days. And to be frank, we should expect the Democrats to really use all of the time that they are allotted. The Republicans probably won't go as long as the Democrats have, because McConnell has made this very clear that he wants this to be a speedy and quick trial, but we can definitely expect the Democrats to use up all their time.
And regarding those witnesses, too, I think it's important to note that the Washington Post reported last night that behind the scenes, some Democrats are considering trading a Hunter Biden testimony in exchange for a John Bolton testimony. Now, that's not to be confirmed or anything yet. It's coming from the Washington Post. But that is something that Republicans have said behind closed doors in the past as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they follow up on that. But last night, 12 hours, it was boring. I'm just going to come out and say it. I mean, I do this for a living. I had to watch it. It got cyclical. It was boring. Do we have any inference about what the American people think about this process, at least as of yet?
Well, it seems as of right now that the American public opinion has not really changed at all, even from when Nancy Pelosi first announced this impeachment inquiry. Really, the dial hasn't moved that much, generally speaking. Now, public opinion on impeachment trial witnesses does tend to favor the Democratic side. And by that, I mean there does seem to be a majority of people who would prefer to hear from John Bolton and these other witnesses. Now, whether that means that they will then approve of removing Trump from office is a completely different topic, because public opinion tends to actually disapprove of the Democrats' attempt to remove Trump from office here.
And so we've seen what Republicans are doing. They kind of want to make this a quick process. I mean, there actually was a little bit of a concession yesterday. Originally, Mitch McConnell said that these arguments would take place over 2 days, but now he did kind of meet the demands of his moderate members of the caucus, and it's going to be 3 days. Do we have any inference of when this will end, when we'll finally have that vote, and whether or not President Trump will be acquitted or removed?
As of right now, we should expect both sides of the arguments to be done by Saturday. Obviously, Sunday will be the day that we take a break from this, and Republicans could go back to it on Monday if they so choose. But as of right now, it is unlikely that McConnell is going to drag this into Monday. He might. There's a very good chance that Republicans will continue into it. But it would not surprise me at all if the Republican side makes their argument, they make their case in support of Trump on Saturday, they say what needs to be said, and then they leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because they have the votes for acquittal as of right now, and there is really no need to drag this out any longer.
Yeah, and they would set up for a quick vote sometime in the middle of next week. That's what a lot of lawmakers were predicting before this process even got started. But Kaylee McGhee from the Washington Examiner, thank you for joining us tonight.